What's up, everybody? Guy here from Total Geek Live, and we are having a special show. But first, let's get to the important part by introducing the rest of the TGL crew. We have Baltimore, we've got Danny, and we've got Kaiser. And we're going to go back to the past again today, where we're going to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990 version, not the Michael Bay version or the Vanilla Ice rapping version, because that one's still kind of hard to wrap our heads around.
Oh,
so,
I see what you did there.
Yes.
Wrap our heads around.
Go Ninja, go. I didn't say it'd be entirely free of the Robert Van Winkle. I just said we weren't going to talk about it too much.
Okay.
So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out in 1990. It was the highest grossing indie film of that time.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine TMNT as an indie film. That's crazy.
I know.
Right.
It's crazy to think of New Line Cinema as still an indie studio back then.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
Releasing indie hits like Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, that little indie darling.
Yeah, yes, the indie form.
House pretty built.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it was directed by Steve Barron, which, even if you're not too familiar with the name, he actually did a lot of music videos that were popular on MTV. He was responsible for Michael Jackson's Billie Jean.
Oh.
He was responsible for a-ha's Take on Me, the animated Dire Straits, Money for Nothing.
And it's Chicks for Free.
And he also did one of my favorite cult films, Electric Dreams. He directed that as well. So he's done quite a few things. So even if you don't think you knew him, you actually probably did. So let's talk about what's going on with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You want to start the trailer first off before we get into the heart of ninjosity? Is that a word? I'm using it as a word.
Hey, you check your ninjitude at the door, mister.
That's right.
Pizza time?
Of course, it's pizza time.
All right. The
Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds.
All right. I've got it queued up, and I am going to start it now.
Our family grows. The city
Yes.
I am angry.
Did he say our family?
Well, they were family.
It's actually a pretty good costume.
Oh, it's an excellent costume. Well, Shredder's, not the Foot Clan.
The soup strainer over the eye. I don't see how that helps ninjas at all.
No, I know.
A big title in a trench coat.
Oh, yeah.
Age, I like where this is going. Mutant.
Yes.
Ninja, go on.
Oh, more.
Turtles. Oh, like that's gonna sell.
Awesome.
Classic.
Oh, yeah.
All he has to do is close his fist and people attack. I wish I could do that.
The floor spin was kind of cool too.
This music is
Odd. I don't remember this.
very odd.
Super puzzling. It's like MacGyver or something.
Yeah.
Or a circus. Like
Donatello should start building something.
Being a turtle.
That's not even his voice.
Lean, green, and on the screen.
Check your spleen.
Absolutely.
Cheddar bean.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm done. I just want to go and watch the movie again after seeing that. It's one of those, I go back to it time and time again. You know, I haven't seen it as much as, like, say, Ghostbusters or Bill and Ted, but it's the view count is up there with this one, more so than any of the other Turtle movies.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I think the only other one I really like outside of this one is the CG animated TMNT. But like as far as everything else goes, it's like I watched this one. You know, the second one's kind of novel, but and third one, but
there was a third.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
where they go to
Turtles in
medieval
time.
Yeah, they go back to medieval Japan.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. They get Shogun warrior armor.
Wow, I don't even
Yeah.
think about that.
That was a thing.
It's best you don't just look away.
Yeah,
That's right.
the costumes got worse somehow instead of better. You'd think the technology and the suit design are just having
Well,
the
they
original
went
suits.
cheap.
Yeah, they did go cheap.
Yeah, because the turtle costumes in this were awesome. They were done by Jim Henson's Creature Workshop.
That's right.
They were really good. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like really they really animated well, and it like I can only imagine how bulky and uncomfortable those things were running around trying to do ninja moves.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
But all the cool facial articulation and everything like that. I still remember that one scene though after Raphael got beat up. Do you remember the scene, or have you ever seen that error where like after Raphael got better, after like they went to that farmhouse and like Donatello started laughing and he kind of threw his head back and opened his mouth?
Yes.
And saw like the actor's face inside.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, and you see the actor and like their mouth is wide open too, like they're laughing.
It's like Donatello is eating this man, and it's like this is the last you'll ever get to see of this poor soul before Donatello consumes him whole.
Oh, I have got to find that.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
It's kind of horrifying. I wouldn't call it awesome. You'll never see it.
Right. Yeah, it's something that sticks with you once you've seen it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a thing.
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
So, who's your favorite turtle?
Donatello.
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 And here I am, a Mikey guy.
Oh.
I love Michelangelo. The dude's
He's my
just,
second, I think.
he's a party dude. He likes pizza. He likes skateboard. I mean, that was like my thing when I was a kid. I had a skateboard, a Pal Peralta, Mike McGill, with the skull, with the snake going through it and everything. I loved that thing to death. And I liked pizza. So Mikey and I, we kind of had relatable, things.
Well, Donatello, though, he did machines, although they never exactly articulated what they meant by that. So
Right.
I'm sure it was just a social call. Okay, that's a bad example. Let's just move on from that.
I don't know if there is moving on from that. Please,
It's either that or Donatello eating people whole. I mean, we've had a lot to work with Donatello so far.
So, Guy, you were familiar with the comic especially the comic book that was this is based on. How close of an adaptation was this?
Overall, it was a pretty accurate adaptation. This was based off one of the original Eastman and Laird comics from Mirage Studios. This is when it was black and white and gritty, and there was like none of the cuteness was in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just they were out for blood. And actually, interesting little side thing: the same mutagen that spawned the turtles and Splinter, that was the same mutagen that retroactive ooze that like blinded Matt Murdock of Daredevil and gave him his powers.
Right.
That's a nice little aside.
Yeah, I love that
Yeah.
little. I love it.
Really?
Well, they are in New York, so
They are in New York, so that was obviously not an official thing, but it was more than a passing nod they threw in the comic.
well, because the comic was kind of a knock on that dark, gritty humor at the time in the comics, and it was kind of their play on that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. As far as story went, they actually followed one of the storylines pretty well. This was one where they actually did kill Shredder in the comic, and it's alluded to in the film, but obviously he got better. But they took elements of that storyline and introduced elements of the more kid-friendly mainstream version. April was a news reporter, and from the cartoon. They had their different colored masks, of course. They loved pizza. They had their catchphrases, although Splinter at the end was the one who said that he always liked cowabunga.
That's right.
but they were a lot more laid back and free spirited, like they were in the cartoon, as opposed to the gritty, brooding turtles of the comic.
Right.
So, favorite scenes? Who liked what?
Well, I had a quick question about the comic real quick because I really don't recall it. It's been so long. Was Casey Jones in?
Yes.
Okay, so bringing him into the movie kind of was part of following that loose transition. Okay. Yeah, because I was always kind of on the fence. Is like, well, should they have brought him in this movie? Did he really add? Should he have waited for a sequel for Casey? But I think he kind of fit. I mean, even with as much that was going on, I never felt like he was too much or derailed. He stayed kind of a tertiary character. Got to shine a little bit, but it gave them someone else to play off of.
Right. Especially it gave somebody with Raphael in particular.
Right.
That whole who's the tough guy in the room kind of thing, and then also a love interest for April O'Neil. But I kind of wanted, me personally, I wanted to save Casey Jones for a sequel, just like they saved Rocksteady and Bebop for, well, it wasn't even really them, was it? In the second
that
one,
was another cartoon.
That was Toka and Razor.
Yeah, that's right, Toka and Razor, which should have been Rocksteady and Bebop.
Right, but you guys sell new toys.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that.
He lived in a marvelous age.
What I was trying, just going to add that I kind of wanted the Turtles to shine on their own, and in the first film, and let it be their whole origin story and introduction and everything, and then I'm fine with April O'Neil being introduced because you kind of need to have that. But for all the other characters, besides Shredder, I think they could have waited. But I totally get it. I understand why they did it.
Oh yeah,
especially lovable teenage waif Danny. Was it your favorite character?
No, he's not my favorite character. Yeah, the Foot Clan kid who
the Foot
was teeter tottering. Foot Can.
You must master kicks, but not that kind. Well, I like the apartment battle. Because I mean, they just completely trashed April's apartment because she was over that antique store, curio store, and I mean, they just like fell through the floor and like they were just beating each other with weapons, and like the whole nunchuck battle with Michelangelo and that 1 foot soldier, and then after like Mikey just kind of spins a nunchuck on his finger because he's feeling that good.
Because he's a party dude, man.
Right.
The one scene that really stuck to me, that especially as a kid watching this, was when I heard Raphael say "damn," and I'm like, "Whoa, that's a cartoon character that said a somewhat mild swear word."
This movie just went up to 11.
Right? It was something.
Yeah.
Definitely eye-opening for me, and
yeah.
ear-opening.
That the carryover from its original source material, a little grittier, a little darker, which they totally lost in the sequels. This is the only one of the original live-action trilogy that had any essence of their their true origins kind of intact in it. Because it went full on slapstick into the parents complained about the weapons, and so in 2
they didn't even use them.
Yeah,
Part 2.
They went all Jackie Chan using stuff from the environment and everything, and rarely.
Really?
Yeah, it's like you don't really think about it until you know it. Then if you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, they're not pulling their swords or their scythes or their nunchucks. He's using sausages and frisbees and whatever they get their hands on.
Oh,
Right.
man.
The resourceful turtle.
Yes. Even though they had their weapons on them. So yeah, so that in what makes this truly stand out amongst, aside from just being the first and all that, it's just the only one that really holds the essence.
Yeah.
In any semblance, to their true comic book origins.
I think what I like the best is the sort of inventive fighting scenes. That they really, for me, I felt like they were turtles that had grown up or got bigger or whatever. Because they were doing the spinning on their shells. They were doing these things that kind of like, yeah, I totally believe, in that world where they can do these things. They're these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's what they're so I like that part about it. It was a fun, yet, for lack of a better word, real take on it.
Right.
It felt good.
And I think to expand on what you said, they did seem more like brothers in this film than they did in the cartoon. And I mean, there was that scene where they had lost Splinter, and they were trying to reach out and find him, and they had that one scene by the campfire. And again, for giant turtle costumes, they actually brought some emotional resonance to that scene and made it seem more real, where they were hurting that their family was broken. And even the scene where, I mean, Raphael took the worst damage from that apartment scene, and you kind of wondered, was he going to make it or not for that brief moment. I mean, obviously he's going to, but it's like they played it seriously because each one of the turtles were dealing with it differently.
Right.
They're waiting for him to get better. And I mean, it was little touches like that where they kind of made that dynamic more real and more connected to each other. And Splinter was definitely of a father figure. Another interesting thing about Splinter, he was voiced by Kevin Clash, who did Elmo from Sesame Street.
Yes.
He did a great voice for it, but I don't think any other voice would have necessarily worked for that.
That's crazy.
Could you imagine? Splinter runs through to do ninja powers. I can't even do it. Oh well.
Yeah, so I mean, all in all, this is, for all of us, I think, one of those childhood memories or movies of ours that we will always go back to, that we'll always look back on fondly. And, unlike a lot of the stuff back then, this still holds up pretty well today because the practical effects were done very well.
Right.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, that's the power of Jim Henson and his company. I mean, you look back at all the kind of handiwork that the Henson Company has done, and it's a lot of it just still holds up today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They made 6-foot turtles look real, which is and also do ninja moves and karate chops and everything else. So it was definitely an accomplishment.
Especially in those costumes that are really, really heavy and awkward. So the people who were wearing those, certainly give them a hand up for that, because that's certainly a challenge, and they really rose to the occasion for that. So pretty amazing work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I hope they were paid as equal as the voice cast.
Yeah, I would hope so.
When you wear those bulky costumes for an extended period of time, it almost feels like no money is ever.
It's never enough.
It's like, oh God, please take the head off. But yeah, been there. So that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Definitely one of the first. Again, weird to think about it. Indie films of the very beginning of the 1990s, and certainly a special part of that whole radical turtle mania that was taking over at that time.
It was a wonderful time.
Totally.
Bossa Nova. Chevy Nova? Anyway, guys, this is all of us from TGL saying it's all geek to us. Until that next time. Power. Power. I can't spell, apparently. Power. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So we're going to be going doing. That's a lot of words. We might have to take it back. He said.
Tonight we're gonna shimmy hammer hammer.
Look at that hammer hoo ha he.
Turn into
Honey-ho.
turn into Adam Sandler all of a sudden.
Like a hat. Like a honey.
Honey ho.
Honey.